Football Manager 2023 finally has a release date. It's early November. There will be a beta that you can play that comes out like 2 weeks before. Here is what Football Manager needs to fix, though, in FM23. And that includes something so painfully obvious, I will actually be shocked if they don't fix it. You know it. You hate it. You loathe it. You watch me tweak it. It's the set piece screen. Now, this whole set piece screen has a mind of its own. Not only when you change your tactic do things end up all over the place, but it just seems to, it hides players. It puts the takers in different spots. It seems bugged all over the place. And I could make a glitch video just about the set piece screen. Now, people have been calling for this to be fixed for years. And anytime you hit 3 or 4 years where you haven't even touched a feature that people have had a problem with from the beginning, this is top of the list of things that Football Manager 2023 FM23 needs to improve on. And I already have the idea. Now, your typical alignment on set pieces is that you're aiming the ball towards a couple of tall guys. And so you should be able to put players in positions and then rank those players based off who you want there first. So if you have your main target, which in my set piece tactic would be this position with an in-swinging corner, well, then that main target, I should be able to rank my players like it's my best center back, then my second best center back, then my third best center back, then this random midfielder that's tall. Same as free kicks. They already have this for corner, like set piece takers. So they already know how to do this. They already know how to put the feature in the game. I just want to be able to create another list so that every game I don't have to go in, and because I changed my lineup a little bit, I have to completely retweak my set pieces. I want to come up with a set piece routine, be able to rank players and put them into these different positions. Please. That's not even the worst of it, though, because on free kick defense, there's this other, it's like a glitch that drives me insane. You know, when you're in the middle of the game and here, let's diagram this. You get a free kick towards the corner, and all of your players, because you do zonal marking, line up on the line, except they forget there's one guy wide open. Now on corners, literally watch this happen. On corners, those players break out of their zonal marking and they find the player nearest to them and they kind of shadow them. But on those free kicks from the corner, they don't move and they leave guys wide open. And the weirdest part of this is that during streamer showdowns, I've actually investigated, and for some reason, none of the free kick instructions are the ones that are carrying over into some types of these set pieces. It's almost like you can't tell your team what to do at all, which is completely counter to the whole point of playing this game. You need to be able to control the finer points of the game because you can't actually play the game. It's the only way you can influence the outcome. And if I am conceding goals, because when I look at this indirect wide and my team isn't actually doing what I'm telling them to do here, what are we doing? The most important note here is that I like saving time. It takes me a while to play Football Manager, and a significant portion of that time that I spend is making sure that my set pieces are exactly right. We have the shortest guys on the posts. We have the tallest guys that we're aiming for. We have the right guys in the right positions. If I could set all of this up at the beginning of the year and then just let it go, that would save hours, days of my life and yours. But set pieces, they aren't something that drive you absolutely crazy, unless you're talking about those free kicks, of course. What does drive me absolutely crazy is the asking price. It was something introduced in Football Manager 22. It's when you click on a player and you go to transfer status and you go for an asking price, and all of a sudden, unlike previous versions of the game, you are interacting with the player based off of the asking price, except you're not. You're interacting with the agent, whose opinions are different than the player. The problem is the agent's opinions are apparently on, like, behalf of the player, except the player can still get mad at you and doesn't seem to care that the agent lied to me when you set an asking price that they're not happy with. We have all had this experience. You set an asking price, they're supposed to be happy with it, the player gets mad, and you have to talk your way out of it, or else you end up with an actually angry player in the locker room. This in itself is stupid and annoying, and if the player's not going to get mad at the agent, then why is this in the game in the first place? Why is there a discrepancy at all between what the agent thinks and what the player thinks? Just take it out of the game. Because in real life, I'll just bring the player in and say, hey, I want to set this asking price, and he goes, I don't know, boss, that seems high. And I go, how about this? And he goes, yeah, okay, cool, and leaves. But it's not the only issue with asking price. It's that preferred asking price changes. When that asking price changes, if you go to offer out this player for what you agreed with that player 1 week ago was a fair asking price, they'll get mad. You should get a message that warns you that their asking price has changed, or you should get a inbox message that says, hey, I don't think this asking price is fair anymore. Have you considered lowering it or raising it or whatever? When you go to offer to other clubs, there's actually a subscribe button to Zealand there, which if you, this is weird, I know. If you haven't clicked it already, then you actually need to click it in order to be able to offer a player out at all. Once you're actually able to offer out the player, then there's a problem. I shouldn't find out when I offer a player out and all of a sudden they decide that what we agreed on a week ago is bull hockey. And then I usually lose my mind. Now, if you want to watch me lose my mind continuously, there is a link to Twitch down in the description. I stream Football Manager a lot. We're actually the first Football Manager Twitch channel to ever reach 100,000 followers. So give me 5 seconds of... The next thing I'm looking for are transfer reasons. This is something I feel like Football Manager has been missing out on for a long time that have made the game harder. And as the transfer system has developed and gotten more challenging this year, I feel like this is more important than ever for them to include in the next version of the game. What do I mean by transfer reasons? What I'm talking about is you're sitting in there and you get an offer. You get an email and it says, hey, we'll pay 15 million for this guy. 2 years ago, you could have rejected that and offered back for 25, and that was like part of a negotiation. This year, if you reject that 15 million, you probably aren't going to get another offer from that team. It becomes a lot more abstract and you have no idea why teams are in for players or why they're not. There's 2 ways Football Manager could do this. You could either have your director of football or general manager tell you why they think that team is offering and how much they think you could get from the team and what role they need the player to fill. Do they desperately need the player? Is it just for potential? You get the idea. Or you just get that in the transfer message from the team that you're talking to say, hey, we want to make this guy a star player. Hey, we think this guy's a great option for the future. Hey, this is how much we're thinking we want to pay this player. So if you can't pay this player that much, maybe you want to make this transfer. More information so that this whole transfer system that has become much more frustrating this year is at least accessible in terms of information so you can make more educated decisions on what offers to turn down and what offers to accept. Yes. I would also like them to make it possible to mass praise training. If I click and select all of these people, I can right click and do a whole bunch of things to save time. None of them are praising training. You should be able to mass interact with your players. I understand why they haven't done this, because they want to try and individualize your interaction with players. But if a point is reached where the way to best play the game requires me to spend 5 minutes just clicking on dudes and clicking praise and going on to the next one and doing the same thing, and a lot of people know about it, that's the best way to play the game, you probably need to change it, because that is repetitive and painful. In case you didn't know, you can praise training over 7.75 every week and just boost everybody's morale because you're a nice person. In the same vein of transfers, they should also make scouting more transparent. Scouting used to make more sense than it does now, at least to me, and I play the game for a very, very large amount of time. Scouting was you set up your region scouts, they learn the language, they learn the leagues, and over time you got more and more players coming through your scouting reports. Now you have to set up nation scouting, and it just feels like you don't get a lot of people in your reports. A lot of the best players I find from just scouting youth national teams. We're not actually finding people through the act of scouting itself in the areas that we're trying to scout. Region scouting seemed to be even worse. And the worst part is, I have to make these exhausting videos and tests just to figure that stuff out, because people are sitting there like, well, I'm not getting as many scouting reports as I used to. Thusly, the scouting center is becoming more and more barren, and we don't really know why. The quick way to fix this is for Football Manager to have your chief scout tell you how long they think it's going to take for your scout to integrate themselves in the area you're trying to go, and what their effectiveness is going to be scouting in that region. Just that basic information from your chief scout. And speaking of basic information, we need to fix reserve and B teams. I've had a B team my whole save on Twitch. Floridsdorfer AC Amateur. I know nothing about them. They're in a non-playable league. I have no idea how to get them to a playable league. They play matches. When you click on players, it says, oh, league, and they played 3 matches off the bench. So in terms of development, they do actually play matches, but we know nothing about them, where they are, who they play, what they're doing. I get that it's not a playable league, and I understand that Football Manager cannot include all of those reserve leagues as playable, because then your game would run so slow and your smart toaster you're trying to run Football Manager on would actually burst into flames. There also needs to be a quick report about the amount of talent that you need to put into your team in order order for that B team to get promoted, and there needs to be a quick report about where the heck they're playing in the first place. I don't even know what level this team is at, and I am in a country where you can have B teams in the second division. I would like to invest very heavily in getting my B team to the second division, but I'm not given the option. I've tried back in the day. I had an Oriental Dragon B team when we were in Portugal last year. I put a bunch of great players in there, and we just didn't go anywhere. You don't have to make the leagues playable or accessible. You just need to tell us where they are and how far away they are from a playable league or something. And perhaps most importantly, how to get them there. But the most important thing that Football Manager needs to fix in FM23 is its national teams. It is national team management. Like, if you are not going to fix national teams now, it's never going to happen, because this game is coming out right before a World Cup. That is not going to happen, at least for the next 20, 25, 30 years. There's not going to be another Winter World Cup. This is your opportunity to fix national teams. And when I say fix national team management, fix everything. Everything. Football Manager has a very long tutorial for the entire game. None of it applies to national teams at all. It's not intuitive. You basically have to figure out how to fill up your national pool by yourself. Your staff doesn't really do anything. You don't really see, control, do anything with the morale of your players or your team or your national setup. You don't even control training, so you can't properly rest players between matches, so they can just be exhausted and you had nothing to do with it. Now, you combine the fact that the whole national pool system is buggy and weird and not intuitive with the fact you don't control training and the fact that you don't control morale. The only thing you are doing is picking players and picking tactics, which Football Manager has moved beyond 20 years ago. There are free mobile games on your phone that I'm sure have a little more depth than that. What is the point of making a game called Football Manager if you can only manage the most basic essence of the entire sport? And the national teams could be really fun. There are so many amazing challenges out there for managing national teams, trying to win huge tournaments. The biggest sporting event in the world is not the Champions League final, it's the World Cup. Football Manager basically pretends like it doesn't exist. I also get that it's hard because you need to create the right type of database at the beginning of the game in order for international management to be viable. Then why not offer a preset, I want to manage internationally, this is the most ideal database for you at the beginning of the game. One button, a preset button. You click that, you're on the I'm in the optimized international database so that I can manage just a national team and watch people enjoy that side of management that we just haven't been able to enjoy because I play this game nonstop and it took me a while to figure it out. And then these guys just randomly, we like lose their scouted ability. Like, I don't know how good Rafinha is anymore. He plays for Liverpool. On top of those major improvements, there are two glitches I want to see fixed. One of those glitches is the transfer revenue retention glitch. Just watch this happen to me over and over again. I think we're at 60% again, even though I always upgrade it to 100%, and then it goes down to 60% because it's glitched. And I love this game, but it's still broken sometimes. Then there's also a glitch where if you are negotiating a contract and a player offers a release clause and then you reach an agreement, essentially, you can just keep raising the release clause until the end of time. I don't know why it's still in the game, and it definitely just needs to be fixed. But if you use that, more power to you. It's in the base game. I'm really excited for FM23 though, and if you are too, then you need to make sure that you know how to play it, because there's a scouting method that I know for a fact will be in FM23 as well that I talk about in this video that can get you the best Wonder Kids in the world. So